What's up YouTube, HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys today because it is deck profile time, and the Yosenju are taking the stage. Yes, the Yosenju is actually a favorite deck of mine um, that came in Secret Forces. It was a side pack that was released in both the OCG and the TCG, included Nethclaws, included Ritual Beast, and the Yosenju. And I did do some deck profiles for the Yosenju back then. So now with the new format and a lot of the newer splashability of stuff now thanks to Link Summon, I wanted to go for Yosenju and see what I could possibly do with the Yosenju deck. And I'm having some really good fun with this deck and actually have some builds that I want to show off. Not just this one, but a couple of more because I want to get all the Yosenju out of the way. But it was very hard to find the Yosenju cards because a lot of sites only had a particular amount of them. They didn't have all three of the main guys that you need for the deck. And then the spell and trap cards were just as hard to find as well. So luckily enough, this time of year finally found them, and I was able to get them. And as you notice, they will not be secrets or supers. They'll actually be the common variation from a special pack that was not unleashed, released in the TCG. That thank God. Not only did it give them new cards, which weren't really too good themselves, but it did allow me to decrease the rarity, and thank God. So let's get into that profile before I waste any more time. So for the monster lineup, pretty short, pretty simple. I'm running 3 copies of Yosenju combo. 1, 2, 3, Tetsuchik, and Reborn Tengu. That is it. That is all the monsters I'm running in the deck. Well, in the main deck. And for the spells, I'm running 3 copies of Yosen Training Ground. I keep saying Yosenju. 3 copies of Fire Formation Tanking. 3 copies of Pot of Duality. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. And a copy of Darkhold, Raigeki, and Monster Reborn. So that's it for my spells. And then for my traps, I'm running 3 copies of Yosenju's Secret Move, 2 copies of Storing Mirror Force, 2 copies of Quaking Mirror Force, and a full set of Solemns. I'm running Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, and Solemn Strike. So that's it for the main. Now it's time for the extra deck, and it's pretty straightforward in terms of this. I'm running 3 copies of Great Fly, running 2 copies of Fighter Fighting Daruma Doll, 2 copies of Lightning Chidori, 2 copies of Castel, 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, a copy of Harpie's Pet Phantasmal Dragon, 2 copies of Gaga Cowboy, and a copy of Abuska with a copy of Heartland Draco. So that is pretty much it for the deck, and now I'll go over the choices. So, if you're not familiar with Yosenju, I'm going to give you a bit of an update on what the Yosenju are, what they do. So, the Yosenju are all Beast Warrior Wind monsters. They have a unique ability to them in which, when they are normal summoned, they return to the owner's hand during the end phase of the turn. Now, for some people, that may be a little skeptical, but with the amount of support that these guys have, not only supporting each other, but supporting the field when they aren't on the field, is amazing. And this is actually why a lot of people like this deck, because it's very, very anti-meta-esque. Because you can just return your monsters to the field, play your Dark Holes, your Raigekis on your turn when you draw into them, and then spawn the board with a whole bunch of these monsters. You do note you cannot summon a Yosenju monster, a copy of the same Yosenju monster you summoned through its ability. So if you normal summon a comma 1, you cannot normal summon another comma 1. You have to go into comma 2 and then summon another version of comma 1. I will also believe comma one's effect is once per comma one, so you can't use it. Um, yeah, you can only use the effect once, so you can't stack. I think you can stack on multiples. I'm not sure because I'm reading the card right now. Um, yeah, once while this card is face up on the field. So if you have another comma one, you can't bounce anything, but that's perfectly fine because what you want to bounce away um, is the bigger threat. Comma two can half its attack points to attack directly. And comma three is a searcher. Whenever Yosenju inflicts damage to your opponent, you can add a Yosenju card from your deck to your hand. And Yosenju Tsuchik, which I would personally call Yosenju comma four, has a great ability. You can pitch it to give one of your Yosenju monsters an additional 1,000 attack points. Or while it's on the field, you can give it and another Yosenju monster 100 additional attack points. No, you give one Yosenju monster additional attack points until the end of the turn. And then you can discard it like an honest during either player's damage step. You can detach it. You can discard it from your hand to give 1,000 attack points. So it's really, really good, both on the field and off of it. And it's a really good setup for the Yosenju monsters. They have a lot of great combinations. They even have pendulum monsters, which I want to show off in another video because they have a greater range of defense from their pendulum cards. Despite the fact that the pendulum mechanic is completely shit, but which is to be taken because when you have decks like Performer Pals and Magicians still doing well with a mechanic that killed them, kind of defeats the purpose. All right, so let's move on. Um, so I want to talk about Tengu, and the reason why I'm talking about Reborn Tengu is because despite the fact that this card actually does work really well with this deck because it's a Beast Warrior, you can search for it, and it has a lot of synergy with it on those bases. The only thing is because it's kind of like the malicious thing, you need to run multiples of it in order to get a use out of it. But once it starts hitting the field and it starts doing stuff, it's a really amazing monster. It has a really good and amazing setup. So don't let that like slow you down or anything. Despite the fact that it has such low attack and defense, because once you start beefing it up, this thing can hit for some pretty good amounts of damage. And not to mention, when it leaves the field, you just go get another copy of itself, so that's even better. Now on to the spells. Yosin Training Ground is a really good spell card. Every time you normal summon a Yosenju monster, it gains a counter. Normal special summon, it gains a Yosin counter. And then for each Yosen encounter, you can remove it to do the following effect. If you remove one, all your current Yosenju monsters will gain 300 attack until the end of the turn, even if it leaves the field. Or you can return one. You can add one Yosenju card from your deck or graveyard to your hand through this card's effect. And it's really good on that sense. The only downside is you can't search for this because it has Yosen in its name, not Yosenju. So it's kind of similar to Dragon's Ravine, where none of the Dragon's cards can search for Ravine, but it is a card that they utilize in a lot of their, they can utilize them as a summon in their effects. So it's a really good setup card as well. It's really, and glad it's a continuous spell and not a field spell, because then you go down the Harpie thing, um, in the Mist Valley thing, where their field spells is like their field spells. Oh no, the Mist Valley, because Mist Valley has two field spells, but one's limited and the other one, despite the fact that it's good, it's very situational. It is still a field spell, so you can't play multiples of it. Fire Formation Tinky, Beast Warrior staple, and adding your Beast Warriors, and then giving them additional 100 attack. So stacking these on is pretty much a Rhoda plus an attack boost. There was a reason why this card was at 2 for a period because of how broken it was. Pot of Duality, um, most people probably say, where are the Card of Demises? Well, for $15 a pop, I refuse to go get Card of Demise, which is a good card in Yosenju because of how their mechanics work. Because you can end phase, let the effects of the card of demise go off, and then activate the effects of your Yosenju and add them back to your hand. But because of how they normal summon each other and it focuses on normal summon, cards like Powder Duality are okay in this deck because it doesn't force you to skip your battle phase, it doesn't force you to not social summon, and you can inflict battle damage. So you really can use a lot of Pot of Duality. Just flip Duality, get the cards you want, put the other back into the deck, and then play your Yosenjus accordingly because they can normal summon each other. So it's not too bad of a setup card there. Triple Cosmic Cyclone because I didn't want to run MST. I can run Twin Twister, but I have to do a lot of recovery in that case. And 1000 life points to banish a card isn't too bad. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff in this game to banish and remove spells and traps. And then last, of course, is Monster Reborn, Dark Hole, and Raigeki, the 3 staples. So that's it for them. Yosenju's secret move, as we're moving the traps, when a monster spell or trap, it's pretty much a solemn judgment. As long as you at least control one Yosenju card, and all face-up monsters you control are Yosenju. You can easily pick this back up with Yoshin Training Ground for even added bonus. And it, like I said, it's just a counter. It's a really good counter trap for an archetype. The mirror forces, storming and quaking. I could have did a full set of storming. I could have did a full set of quaking. Drowning mirror force isn't a common, and or if it is, I don't have any. But I wanted to go for mirror forces that I could rely on, especially in combination with the extra deck. Storming mirror force disrupts tons of plays. Quaking mirror force forces those monsters face down, and you can drop stuff like Chidori. You can drop a ton of things and get rid of those monsters. So that's why I choose these. And plus, they don't destroy, which is a good thing because a lot of cards are immune to destruction. So here we are, even years later, and we're still dealing with these cases of monsters you can't destroy by card effects. But you have ways to remove them with massive card effects. So Storming Mirror Forces, Quaking Mirror Forces, Drowning Mirror Forces, Raigeki's Dark Holes. All your answers to cards that can't be necessarily removed from the field so easily in that same sense. And then the Solemn Brigade is because, well, it is the Solemn Brigade. So let's move on to the extra deck. It's very similar to Harpies because of the fact that it's predominantly wind. So in that case, that's why we have 3 Great Fly and the 2 Firefighter Daruma Doll. Let's talk about Daruma Doll in this deck. Everyone in here is Beast Warrior. If cards were getting banished, Daruma Doll can go and get them. This is a good card against a lot of tokens because it doesn't necessarily have to be destroyed and sent to the graveyard. It just has to be destroyed. So the 100 boost is getting from Tinky. The 100 boost is getting from all the other Beast Warriors on the field, Winged Beasts and stuff like that. Bam, instant attack up. Unfortunately, it's not a wind monster because if it was, Great Fly would give it some tremendous help. And Great Fly's recovery does help with Yosenju in case a lot of them start falling into the graveyard. The Rumadal helps in that same sense to recover them from the graveyard with ease. And then, of course, that once per turn, take out a spell or trap that's getting in the way. So, that is my Link monsters. Nothing more than Link 2 for me because I wanted to put Deco Talker in here. It just wasn't. Suryuja, I felt wasn't good synergy. And we don't have any of the Fire Formation cards, which, I mean, the Fire Fist is a Link monster, which would have actually been really good in this, but I think it requires Fire Fist monsters. So you're limited in terms of the links. But if you want to run generic stuff, go right ahead and then go into your bigger ones. But I just prefer the Link 2s, especially because they point in my direction and not pointing into your opponents. So, and your cards benefit from it more than others would. 2 Chidori and 2 Castel. So this is pretty much the wind engine for its extra deck Link monsters. I mean, extra deck Exceed monsters. Wind support is crazy. And despite the fact that a lot of people shame Harpies for Harpie's feather roosting, Yosenju kind of have the same setup there. They just don't have their own extra deck monster. So the thing about it is you can use wind. attribute monsters and go crazy. The Chidoris help with all the face downs, Castel helps with face ups, Tornado Dragon can remove back row, and the Spicy Tech of Phantasmal Dragon is simply because you can just do a bunch of your damage with your Yosenjus, go into the Phantasmal, they can't swing at it, they can't swing at you, and the only way to really get rid of it is a massive removal card, or trying to negate its effects, but it can't be targeted. So yeah, it gets really crazy with Phantasmal Dragon and Yosenju. It's a really good card to go into. So that is for those guys. The 2 Cowboy is simply just for the burn damage. This is a rank 4 deck, and rank 4 spam can simply be done with ease once you have access to it. And not to mention the 100, the 500, 100, 1000 setup is not too bad here either. And then the last 2 cards, Babuska is for defense, and um, your name. Harley Jago, because there are continuous trap spells in this deck, um, mainly the training ground. It's a really good out to a lot of things as well, um, leaving a lot of vulnerability, and then it's just swing directly, which is not too bad either. So, alright, that is pretty much it for this deck profile. I do hope you guys enjoy. You'll see 1 or 2 more of these because I have more ideas and stuff with Yosenju. Yosenju has a lot of ideas with itself. So I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. I will see you guys next time. It's HEJ signing out. Take care.